Okay, once you open Illustrator, go to New File. You want to choose the print. You want to choose letter size. Leave everything else alone as it is, not based on what you see on mine, but just as yours is normal. That's perfectly fine. Okay. You should have downloaded the picture of the top. So go to File, Place, look where you downloaded it, probably in Downloads. Click on the picture of the top, hit Place. It'll give you, like you're hovering it, it'll give you an opportunity to put it wherever you want. Just click on the artboard and then using your black arrow selection tool, move it to where it's sitting on the artboard. At the very top, you should hit embed. Okay. If your screen doesn't look like my screen, go to Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic. Then it'll look just like mine. Your screen will probably also pop up looking like this at first. You want to go up to these two arrows, expand panels, and expand them so that you can see all the same stuff that I have here. It should look like this. Don't worry if it doesn't. It's still going to point you in the right direction to where stuff is. So this right here is layers. Your first layer is your picture. There's a little open spot. If you hover over it next to the eyeball, it says toggle lock. Toggle that by clicking, left click, and that'll lock it. At the bottom, you'll have the option to do a bunch of stuff, but the only one I care about right now is creating a new layer. So go ahead and click on that, and it'll make a new layer on top of layer one. So layer one's your picture, layer two is where you're going to do all the drawing. This picture is a guide to show you the right sizes to make stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is make the actual triangle for the top itself, like the main body here. So over here in your tools, go to the rectangle tool, hold that open. You want to go to polygon. This is those, you can make any sided shapes that you wanted. Click on that, it'll switch to it. Click once in the middle of your artboard and you'll get a window. I want to make a triangle. I'm going to make it 3 sides. It's going to pop up like that first. Now, if it goes wrong, and you don't have a stroke and a fill, you need to click on this little button right here. This is default fill and stroke. Or you could hit the D button on the keyboard. After your selection tool or the V button, now you can move that shape around. You want to hover over to the edge where it does that little curve, and you want to rotate it to where it's pointing down. There's 2 ways that you can do this. If you want it to rotate very specifically, hold the shift key and then rotate it down, see where it says 180 degrees, or you just do it by kind of feel. Then drag it, holding shift, this will keep it constrained so that you keep your proportions correct. So hold shift and drag it out to be the general size of the top. General size, as close as possible, of the top's body at least. Don't worry about it fitting perfectly, make it fit relatively close. Okay. So anytime I want to deselect something, I usually click over here in the gray, or I hit, sometimes escape works, but usually I just click over here in the gray. But I want to keep this selected, so still on the selection tool, still selecting that. I'm going to go right underneath it, or right next to the direct selection tool, or the white arrow. Every time that you select another tool, this stuff up here changes a little bit, or something changes in here. Now what popped up was these three little balls, these three little circles. These are to make automatic mathematical corners in most shapes. This is a lot easier than trying to fidget with a corner later on. If you click one and move it, it'll do it to all sides. We don't want it to do it to all sides. We only want it to do to the top two. So double click, sometimes that happens, double click, and you'll see it go from a little black dot to a little white dot. Grab that one and drag it down until the curve matches with the picture underneath. Go over here in the gray, click back on it, click on it again, just make sure you're right on that one, or double click to make sure you're in the right one. Drag that down till the curve matches the picture underneath relatively. So you're going to go over here to your tools, open your shapes, which was on the polygon. Now you're going to go rectangle. You want to trim the bottom of this off. So you're going to draw a rectangle that covers the bottom piece. You're going to click on this one. You're going to turn off your fill for a second by choosing the none so that you can see where the bottom of that is trimmed. See how it's cut right there? So I'm going to line that up. I click back on the line, or I'm going to do a big rubber band selection to get that again, to get the top of the body of the top, excuse me. Turn it back on to default fill and stroke so that it's white on the inside, black on the outside. I'm going to rubber band by clicking over here, clicking away from the shapes, and drag to select both of them. This is called a rubber banding or marquee tool or marquee selection, something like that. So right now I have them both selected. Over here, if this is working right, down at the bottom, you should have one that's called Pathfinder. If it's not looking exactly like this, you go to Window, Pathfinder, and click on it, and it should pop out for you. What you want to do is use the Pathfinder to cut this top shape or this shape that's on top from the top's body. You know, this is going to be confusing, use the word top a lot. You want to look for minus front. It's usually the second one, but if not, look for it. It says minus front. Once you do that, it trims that bottom section off at that straight line because you used a rectangle. Now to make the little triangles here at the bottom, go back to the shapes, rectangle tool, I'm going to hold it open, go back to polygon, click once, should already have 3, but if not, type in 3, hit OK. Go back to selection tool, or hit V, hover around the corner, the edge, hold shift, rotate it around, and you want to make this size and shape to match the picture that's already there. Fiddle with it just a little bit. This will make the bottom part. Okay. So this part that's right here is actually just another triangle. So have it selected, use the selection tool, select this triangle, and then right click, go to transform, go to reflect, and it'll give you options. You want horizontal. See how it flips it horizontally? And you want copy. So this makes a horizontal copy of that triangle. You want to drag it up, and if you want it to drag straight, hold Shift, and you will see it like it'll only move in left or right or up and down. So just move it up to where it's sitting on top of the other triangle relatively. And now you have your base. It is on top of the top's body. So it's sitting on top of it. So if you click the first one with the selection tool, hold Shift, click the second one. Now both of them are selected. You right click, go to Arrange, and then Send to Back. That will put these two shapes behind the top's body. Now we're going to make the little doodad up here at the top that you use to spin the top. I'm going to use a rounded rectangle. Back to the shapes. Hold it open, choose rounded rectangle. Start about here, drag it out till it about fits that top, size and shape wise. Use your selection tool to move and resize to make it fit. Again, same thing, it's on top of everything else. So I'm going to selection tool, click on it, right click on it, go to Arrange, send it back. This will put it behind everything else. Right now you have a perfectly sized, serviceable picture icon of a top. To change the colors of stuff, you can click on each one. You can either go up here or double click right here to change the fill. If I double click here, it gives me color picker. And then I can muck about with the colors here and pick colors. I could go over here to the color picker and I could eyedrop and it'll pick a color for the fill because that's what I have selected. Or I could go here, select those two, and then up here, pick another color. There is a basic top using nothing but shapes, the selection tool, the pathfinder tool, and then adding color 3 different ways.